I'm living life a little bolder, putting things in order. My tiny life takeover. This home sits on a 24 by 8.5 foot trailer because that's 8.5 to be able to put it on the road. 24 because I wanted something manageable. We borrowed a couple of feet on the front just for a bigger bathroom.
1.5 foot actually.
But there are 14 doors and windows.
Oh wow!
Which is unreal. But that's the biggest expense. But that's why you walk in and the light walls and just all those doors and windows. You're like, this is big. And it's all these little design things. I'm not a designer. I had some help with design. But it's just like there's these things you can do that make it feel so much bigger. The bed, the fact that you can push it to the ceiling, the fact that everything is retractable, the table is hidden inside of the counter, just the shower, it's in a sheep trough that you can just put the curtains but then pull them out. So all these little things that are hidden and you have to engineer it and you got to think about it. And it's all, I mean, a lot of it is on YouTube, but it's all these little things added together make it feel the way it feels. So it truly is a masterpiece, and I have so much to thank for this guy. He was talking about building first the foundation of it. So having the experience that he has with little critters and campers and how all of a sudden you see animals in your nice. Camper.
Yeah.
So this, because it's so close to the water, I made the decision that I didn't want any pipes in the ground. So I've got a compost toilet that I can take out, uses peat moss, so you can throw that out actually in the green. And also the water, I've got water tanks, so I bring my water in and a gray water to pump it out. But always, whatever I bring in, I take out. So there's no holes in the foundations. There's no ways for mice or anything to be able to poke through. It's just steel and it's solid, so you can take that fear out, which was important.
And also underneath, there's always on trailer like a frame, and the bees are creating nests, and there's always a problem. So what we did is we put aluminum, roll of aluminum underneath, so it's attached, so everything's sealed. So if you look underneath, then you can see it's clean, so nothing can.
How could I have known that?
Right?
You know, just starting out, like the experience it speaks for itself and pays for itself.
For some time, and
I'm like, do you rent them out? I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Question, right?
I have so many people on YouTube being like, "Hey, can I borrow? Can I rent out your dad? Can I do this?" I'm like, "Listen, we've got other stuff happening. You got to talk to my mom. You know, we need to talk."
Like, that's what's really in charge.
Yeah,
we need to talk.
So it's great.
Yeah.
And clearly, I'm a bachelor, so it's maybe easy to have the one room. But I've spoken to people who have tiny homes who have said, "Denis, you really at least need a wall, a door, a second room." And I'm thinking you could have like a buddy pod. So this other little tiny house on a trailer that's just for a guest room or a guest office, or somewhere where if you're two people working from home, one person can go in the other. So like there's things you can do to live as a couple with a small child, or if it's a stage of life to then go for a bigger home. But it's not, you're not dealing with less, and it's not a lesser life. It's a richness. Like this is the best home I've ever lived in. It's the nicest home. It's like luxury glamping, but 365 that we made with our hands. So all of those points, I mean, maybe have a lot to say, but
that's okay.
It's like how we invited you on the show because we know how much you love
it's
not
a passion.
Just the physical house, but the process that you went through to get here is just inspiring and fascinating and so wonderful to have people hear what it was like for the two of you to work on this together. Yeah, so I wish that everybody can get involved and have somebody that to work on this with, either a dad or even a mom who wants to get involved, or you know anybody. In between. So the one thing I have to say on tiny homes, if you've been looking at these on Instagram, they always look clean and they always look beautiful, because I've heard of that. Builders will build tiny homes, but nobody actually lives in them. So I also wanted to live by example and show, like, well, you saw it today. I just tidied up, took me 5 minutes to tidy, but you have to keep it clean because it's so small. Everything piles up. So then you just get into the habit and it looks like you would see it. So if you see my pictures on Instagram or YouTube, you come in here and it's just what you see, but it's the feel. You walked in and you're like, I don't get that from the videos. I'm like, exactly. When you walk in, you're going to be like, this is what it can be all year long. A fire, wood fire going. You've got some food cooking. You're just listening to some music, watching that view of nature. I got deers coming in front of my house. I've got, eagles flying overhead, fish, canoe, fires. My parents come over. I make food for them. Just like all of these things. So it's not a lesser life. It's a richer life.
Because I think a lot of people, you're right, like this is a thing now, and it's a smart thing to be doing, but you have to do it right.
Yes.
And I like the idea. We built our house too, a much bigger house.
How many of these could you fit in your home?
A lot. Yeah. But I just, like, I'm thinking, my husband did all the contract work, and we were talking earlier about how, like, no, you got to do it right. Mm-hmm. And we did a lot of the, we'll do this now, and then in a couple of years, we'll fix it. We've had the same countertops for 10 years.
Exactly.
And now we're like, they're fine. They're like, we've lived with them for 10 years. We don't need to change them. So
but if you had the joy that they might bring you,
that's right.
So much better.
It's true. There'd be no stains because it would have been stone and not anyway. Laminate. But when you're in a space this size, then you want everything, because I can ignore my kitchen half the day, right?
Yeah.
You can't. You literally. Like, I assume you work from home as well.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that everything is exactly what you want it to be.
I love it, and what you're saying, rings true, because if it's this size, then you can invest more money to get what you actually want right from the first. And what I love this, like, local window plant is where I got these windows, countertops from Notre Dame, and the cabinets made locally, and all of this stuff is things that you can get locally done, so you get to know the people around you that make the quality stuff. The flooring, I wanted just planks, and they were like, no, I think you should go for something more durable. So I got luxury vinyl, the most expensive luxury vinyl that I could get. And people think it's planks and it's warm, but because it's such a small space, I could put in that money to get what I wanted. So that's another benefit for sure. And also, I guess a fact is the trailer itself. Like, we got this, 4 years ago? And it's a local manufacturer. And when I asked, like, hey, there's this thing, a tiny house, I'd like a trailer, he's like, yeah, I've already made 50 of them.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So, like, what are you talking about? So Warman's in Rexon, he's made a bunch and he ships them all over the place, and they're made so that the ribs are all flat, and then you just have the wheel wells to deal with. But there's a certain way to get that trailer made. And also, if you're starting with your foundation, some people say, I got an old camper that I can just tear up and use that. Do your research, and you'll see other people have done this. And that's the beauty. People have done these things. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just got to use what you've got and just invest the money, because you can.